Hello guys and welcome in a new video. In this video number 32, I want to start a practical exercise. In this practical exercise, we will install a monitoring stack with the Prometheus Grafana, and we will install Node Exporter to collect our metric on target servers. If you want, you can subscribe to my channel to not miss the next videos. The purposes of this practical exercise, we want to install Prometheus Grafana stack and Node exporters. In this video, we just install Node exporters with Ansible. This exercise will be done in 3 videos. In next video we'll install Prometheus, and in another video we will install Grafana. Which infrastructure we need to do this practical exercise? We use our script to deploy 4 nodes. You can find the script in the video number 12, and with this script we'll install 1 node for the monitoring stack with Prometheus and Grafana, and we install on it Node exporters, and in other nodes we install only Node exporters because it's our target servers. Which binary we use for Node exporter? You can follow this link to download the last release of a Node exporter if you want on the GitHub repository. And to develop our Ansible code, what we need, we create an inventory, a playbook file, and very important, we want to develop the Node exporter role. Which step we need to do to create this role? The first step, we create some specific variables. We check if Node exporter is already installed. We create user and group to launch the binary. We create a directory if we need to add some configuration. We download and unzip the binary, the Node exporter binary. We move this binary in the path. We clean the archive file. We create the systemd service to run to launch our Node exporter, and we create handler and start the service. So before to create our variables, we need to have our infrastructure. To do it, we use our deploy.sh script. You can find this script in the video number 12. We use --create with the 4 argument because we want 4 nodes. Okay. And now we want to use --ansible, and now we have our Ansible directory with our inventory and group vars and host vars. I can open our Visual Studio Code with our Ansible directory. We create a playbook file, playbook.yml, for example. I set the name of this playbook, install Node exporter, for example, and we want to to add a node exporter on all server in the all group. So I set host to all. I need to use the privilege escalation. So I set become to yes, and I want to use a role. So I had roles parameter, and I set it to node exporter. This is the name of our role. So now we need to create the skeleton of our role. So if I check, we are with this directory. I use mkdir with roles, and in roles I want to create a role with the Ansible Galaxy command. All what we see in this video, you can find a module or command in last videos if you want. And we use Ansible Galaxy init in the roles directory, and we want to create the role name node exporter. Yes. Okay. Now we have a role directory, roles directory, and we have node exporter directory with our skeleton with default directory, files, handlers, meta, task, templates, and test. To start, we want to set some default variables. So to do it, we open in the default directory the main.yml file, and we copy and paste it. So be careful to indentation. We have 5 variables. First, with the version, we use the prefix node exporter. This is the prefix use the name of our role. We have the version 1.0.1, the name of our binary and where we want to store it in USR local bin, and we want to have node exporter binary. The user, we want to create a user node exporter and a group with the same name because we use the same variable. And we want to create a specific directory if we want to add some configuration /etc node exporter. So I save it. Now what we do in our first task, we go into task main.yml. We add it. We want to check if node exporter already exists. So to do it, we use the stat module with the path parameter, and in the path parameter we use our node exporter bin. This is where we want to find node exporter, and we use register to store in a specific variable the content of the result of the stat module. So we store it in check node exporter present, and in check node exporter present we have a dictionary with stat.exist variable, and if this variable is set to true, we have already node exporter installed, and if this variable is set to false, we don't have node exporter installed. Okay, so let me go ahead, and in the next step we just want to create the node exporter user with the user module with some parameters, the name of our user. This is the node exporter user variable in our default variables. Append a parameter this is not necessary, but by default I prefer to use it. I set it to true. I set the shell for this user to USR has been no login. This is more safe. We use system parameter and we set it to true because we want to create a user, system user. We don't want to create a home. We set the parameter to false and we don't need to add the home. In the next step, we want to create a configuration directory when we want to store some configuration file. So to do it, we use the file module in the path, and we use node exporter dirconf in /etc node exporter. We want a directory, not a file. So to do it, we use state and we set the state parameter to directory. We set the owner to node exporter user with a variable and the same for the group. Next step. In this task, we use the unarchive module. The unarchive module to download and unzip the node exporter file if the binary does not exist. So to do it, so to do it, we use our source in the node exporter repository on GitHub. We download the specific version with node exporter version variable 1.0.1, and we download tar.gz format, and with the unarchive module we download it and unzip it in the destination, and our destination is /tmp. We want to do all the task on our target server, and we set remote src to yes and validate cert to no. So we just want to run this task only if the node exporter binary is not already installed, and to do it we use our variables check node exporter present, like here, and we use in this dictionary stat.exist, and we just run this task only if exist is set to false. The next task, yes, what we want to do, we want to use the copy module to move the binary, because our binary in the previous task is in /tmp. We want to move our binary from /tmp in node exporter bin, and node exporter bin is set to usr local bin /node exporter. We set the owner, the group, and the mod 0755. We want to run it on our target server, so we use remote src to /tmp, and we want to do this task only if the node exporter is not already installed. Next step. Now we can, because we have moved our binary, and after it we can clean the /tmp, and to do it we use the file module with the path parameter, and we set the directory where we store the archive file, and we use the state parameter to absent to remove this directory. Step 8. In this step, in this task, we want to create a systemd service. So to do it, what we do, we use a template file named nodeexporter.service.g2 for Jinja2. I create this file in our template directory, and we set the destination of this file in /etc on our target server /systemd system and nodeexporter.service. We set the owner to root, the group to root, and the mod 0755. And if we have a change on this task, we want to execute a systemctl daemon reload and a restart of our node exporter service. Now we can edit our node exporter service.jinja2, our template. So I copy it and I paste it in the file. We have 3 blocks. In the first block, we have the unique. In description, we have a node exporter, and we want to run this service after network online target. We set the service. We want to use to launch our node exporter binary with the node exporter user, with a type simple, and just execute the binary without configuration, because we don't need to add configuration. And we add a third block, install, because we want to use it in multi-user target. I save it. Now what we want to flush the handler. Remember, we flush the handler to force Ansible to run the handler. For example, we have only one handler. This is this notify, the daemon reload, and we want to force it at this step. Okay, and in all cases, at the end of our node exporter role, we want to have a node exporter service at we want to have a node exporter started at this state to started, and we want to enable it, and we set the parameter to yes, because if we have a reboot of our server, we want to have the node exporter service to be started and running. Okay, and after it, we have notify a handler in the task with our template. This handler is reload daemon and restart node exporter. This is the name of our handler, and we need to create this handler. We go in handlers directory in main.yml. We add this handler with the same name of our notify. We use the systemd module of Ansible with the name parameter set to node exporter. We want, in this case, we want the state parameter to restart it, because we want to restart node exporter if we change the systemd service config file. We want to run a daemon reload if needed, and we set it to yes and enabled to yes. I think yes, that's all. So I save all file, okay, I go into my CLI in Ansible directory here. I use Ansible-playbook-i00 inventory, and I use the playbook file. I launch this playbook, and Ansible runs the gathering fact to collect the facts, and Ansible runs the task to check if the node exporter already installed. Create the user if needed. We have a changed state. This is because we need to create the node exporter user. We create the configuration directory. Ansible download and unzip the node exporter. We move the binary to the final destination in our path. We clean the directory in /tmp. We install the systemd series, and we run, because we flush the handler, we run the reload daemon, and we restart node exporter. So at the end, because the node exporter is already started, we have the last task with a state to OK. So now we can check if all worked. So I go into 172.17.0.2 server, for example, and I can run a systemctl status node exporter underscore exporter. We have a service to the active and running status. Okay, right. We can go on our laptop. We have a curl, yes. We can run a curl on 172.17.0.2 on the port 9100, and the root matrix. If we check, we have all metrics of our server in the open matrix format. So we can check all server. We have 4 server, .2, .3, yes, .4, and .5. Great! That's all for today. Thank you for following this video, and see you in the next one. Bye!